My plan was to eventually move to Penland anyway, because every time I came up here, I never wanted to leave. So, you know, there'd be tears going down the mountain. I had already built a shell of a house in '69 up here.
And the setting, the studio itself, it's such a beautiful studio. And it's the perfect productive environment. When I first visited, I was so amazed by the amount of work that she was producing, like functional work.
I make pottery and other things just because I like it. And I feel like that I'm lucky because I've found something I love doing and I can make a living at it. I mean, people come in here and they ooh and ah because I have a really nice building. Someone will say, gosh, are you lucky? I said, listen, luck didn't have anything to do with this. I said, I made a lot of coffee mugs to pay for this building and I'm still making them.
I enjoyed watching her grow. She'd move into raku, she'd take a different approach towards surface. She'd move from working horizontally to working vertically, applying small sculptures to the surface. Any one of these things that could turn into a lifetime's work.
The great thing about Cynthia is that she takes on every sort of clay in terms of firing ranges, finishes, you know, the glazing. She's done raku, low fire pots, wood fired, reduction fired, salt fired. She does it all. You go to her studio and there are all these kilns there.
This is my gas kiln. It's a car. After it goes back in, the door is over here on rollers and it rolls up to the front of the kiln and gets fastened with 2 angle iron bars. Okay, this is my wood kiln. It's a small catenary arch, but it has this amazing metal door made by Shug Bailey, who's a local welder. And he figured this all out. It's great because it's just on one roller that it comes open. And if you look inside the kiln, it's of such a size that I can even stand up inside of it. So it gets totally loaded and then the door gets shut and the wood is stoked in from the back. Once you start putting the wood in at about 7 in the morning, usually it's over by midnight. This is my raku kiln. It has 2 burners and it has a counterbalance system with a bucket full of weights. So the work goes down in here and I have the floor way down in so I can fire really tall pieces in here. So I went and got some old pulleys and rigged all this up, and a friend of mine who's an engineer came by here and he came by and he looked at it and he went, oh my goodness. And I said to him, I said, well, you know, it does work. So I think that's all that counts because I got up there and put all that stuff.
The range of techniques that she employs. It's not easy to understand how one potter can do that.
If I would say that there was one thing that held her work together, is that she lets clay be clay.
The etymological root of the word craft is power. but not power over, power in behalf of. And I think of that in connection to Cynthia, and that all you have to do is watch her throw. Her throwing is extraordinary. It's clear, it's elegant, it's bravura.
It's just magic to see her throw, and the clarity of her movements, it just shows you her years of experience.
She's so skilled and has so many years working with the material that there's almost no difference between her intention and what the clay does. Her fingers meet the clay and the clay responds so immediately that it's like watching something grow.
She has a connection with the clay that very few people get to. It's almost like they actually hold a conversation, the clay and Cynthia.
That's who you're communicating with, just plain old mud.
There's clarity and there's direction in what she does, but within that she allows herself to have a good time and to play.
She doesn't have any question about how to proceed. She really knows what she's doing.
That woman can move clay like I've never seen anybody touch or move clay.
There's something so beautiful watching someone work. It's where it's just so natural, so familiar, you know, so effortless looking.
The way she'll carve into the pots, that's a Bringle tradition or one of her trademarks.
And she's gotten a governor's award in the state of North Carolina. She's, made a craft fellow of the American Craft Council, which, that's huge. So, I mean, she's gotten about the biggest awards you can get from what I can tell.
People will stop into her studio and she has commissions and she has a rigorous schedule herself, but she never lets on. She will always stop and give you the time that you need.
I can stand around in the studio and talk to people about Cynthia's work, and they'll say, thank you, Cynthia, and I say, you're welcome, and they go out the door. We don't think we look alike, but we've both done some similar things, but I think we've done them in our own way.
We have 14 studios, and we have 7 coordinators. So it's just really nice to see how people work.
Every couple of years I'll go up to the school and take a class, so I like to do everything.
Go, what are we doing?
I have this thing about making things with my hands. And the thing is that I'm someone who always is going to work hard at whatever it is. So that makes a difference. Well, I think everything that you do influences your work and everything that you see. So sometimes it takes years to come out. And you're also bringing into it everything you've done before.
My midnight inspired 1-2 glasses of wine, let's cut some felt sort of action. That's my whole purpose of hats is to.
I mean, you learn from everybody in class. You learn from the instructor, but you learn from everybody in class. It was fun to me.
And it becomes just a great mix of experience and creativity and personalities.
There's a wonderful community here of craftspeople, and more are moving in. It has to do certainly with the school and the quality of what is already here. I think what the younger craftspeople that move in don't think about is that they have to go out there and find their market.
Penland is a place where that excitement that you originally felt for what you're doing is regenerated.
The ripple effect in terms of the community is huge because all of these artists who have come through some affiliation with Penland, settled in the area, they're all running small businesses and they are producing something which they are selling frequently to people who don't live around here, so that's money coming into this community. It's almost invisible because these are 1-, 2-, and 3-person businesses, but you get enough of them and it starts to add up to a lot of economic activity.
We're starting to see some art in our downtown, and hoping, getting a plan that for the future that it can be rejuvenated. But it's a little town that's going through some changes. But I think we still have a sort of a crisis. We've had a number of industries, both furniture and fiber, that have moved to China. And there's a hole in our economy that needs to be filled. There is a great dream that the arts can fill that hole. We're going to have a Toe River Studio Tour, which is a self-guided tour of studios in our two-county area. It's a worldwide economy that supports most of these artists and craftspeople. They look at that and they realize that there's hope that we can train some of our other citizens to be a part of the business of art.
We find ourselves being very much at the epicenter of the American craft movement geographically. There is a big economy in this region surrounding the handmade object.
We've sort of branded the town home of the perfect Christmas tree and all sorts of handmade products which supports cottage industries.
You know, even though it's out in the country and we're in a relatively impoverished county and we're isolated from big city pressures, there's something going on that's really vigorous.
Cynthia is ever present up here, as you well imagine.
I'm going to keep working in some way in the arts. Probably my hands and my soul need it. You know, I'll make pottery or I'll paint, or I won't be sitting on the beach. So it's in the use of pottery that people really, I think, become attracted to it. It's handmade. It's one of a kind. Nobody else has something like it.
Amber Strauss, Rust and Paper, called Scrapyard number 3. Do we have 25 for an opening bid? We're 25.
She serves as an auctioneer for our scholarship auction every single session.
Okay, $25 going once, 25 going twice, sold for $25.
The way I look at the Penland School is you're kind of forgiven up front for doing anything you want to do. And that enables all kinds of experimentation. Relationships can be set up that you don't anticipate. But it's that dynamic, like unconditional love. So there is that forgiveness up front. And Cynthia participates in that.
See, what could be more fun than playing in clay? I mean, I'm lucky. I've been doing this 40 years and wouldn't do anything different. Thank you all very much for having me.